Hi everyone, so we're back with another German Shepherd frequently asked questions. I get a ton of comments and questions in my comment section in all of my basically dog videos. I've been doing these FAQs for such a long time and I really enjoy doing them. It gives me the freedom and opportunity to communicate with all my viewers and people who are genuinely interested in possibly owning a German Shepherd or who may already have one, or just people who like to attack me. You know, I love answering back and I love commenting. So yeah, let's get started. I feel like I always need to do like a quick little disclaimer in all my videos because people just don't understand. Like, I'm not a German Shepherd expert. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a professional in any sense of the word. I've stated several times in many of my other videos that it was a very abrupt and compulsive decision to buy Shadow. I definitely was not aware of what I was putting myself into. Yeah, there may be some regrets here and there, but at the end of the day, what I can say for certain is that I am doing my best and trying my absolute hardest to give him the best life that I can provide with everything I have. And I think that is probably the most important. Like, his happiness and his well-being is my utmost top priority. Okay, now I feel like we can finally begin with some of the questions that I have received recently in my videos. We just got a German Shepherd puppy who was born in September. She's very sweet and protective already. She can be a spaz sometimes. Do you have any tips for when she goes nuts to see us? Also, she loves to chew everything. What we've done at a very young age for him is to not give the dogs any attention whatsoever when we leave the house or come back. I have to say that's probably been one of like the best practices that we've done in this house, because what it means is that they don't jump up at us, they don't get hyperactive, they don't get super excited when we leave or come back, which is amazing. Because honestly, this might sound a little bit bad, but one thing that I absolutely hate about a lot of other dogs that I've seen is when they jump at you when they first meet you, or when, you know, when they jump at you when they're really excited, and I absolutely hate it. And in terms of chewing, even with Shadow, he definitely chewed quite a bit when he was younger. He would chew on everything. He had completely demolished our sofa. He would chew on his dog bed. I think it's definitely kind of a thing that dogs do while they're young. He no longer does that anymore. He hasn't demolished or damaged any furniture in over a year and a half now. For some reason, luckily with us, with Shadow, he is not very inclined with toys. He doesn't like toys that much. It's only when you're teasing him with something, when you're holding something up, he would try grab it because he wants to tease you with it. But other than that, he doesn't actually play with anything throughout the day. An item that I do recommend though, that is almost unbreakable, is the Kong toys. So they're very, very tough, like this plasticky type material. They're great for chewing on, and I would highly recommend one of those if you have trouble with your dog chewing on everything. And there are ones where you can stuff like food inside so they, you know, chew on it longer and it tires them out and all that stuff. Yeah, they've lasted, we've got a few Kong toys and they've lasted us a really long time. I've never broken one before. I have an all black German Shepherd. What type of supplements do you give for hip dysplasia? So I've done several videos on hip dysplasia and what food I've been giving him, especially supplements, but the main one is definitely green lipped mussel. So that is really good for inflammation and pain and all of that good stuff. So I highly recommend green lipped mussel. It's a natural food source. You can get it in like powder form. You can actually just buy it as a whole mussel, which I used to just give him like dried mussel. And the only really other main supplement that he's on is just salmon oil. I mean, that's really good for his coat, for his fur, and just for his general like well-being. As many of you may know, his hip dysplasia has been maintained, so it's at the level that it was, you know, a year ago today. So that's really good news. And it also means that the things that I was doing for the entire year last year in 2019 means that it was working. And I have to say, using a car ramp plays a major part in aiding his hip dysplasia. All of the challenges that she is describing: can't be home alone for more than a couple of hours, has to introduce people to him far away from the house. It's not an indication of the breed so much as it is a German Shepherd that hasn't been properly trained. Okay, so I have quite a bit to say about this comment. First of all, I think there was a bit of miscommunication in that video where I was explaining that he can't be left alone for a very long time. He actually can. He can probably be left alone maximum 7-ish, 6 hours, because he's got, what I've noticed, a not so tough bladder. He does need to go to the toilet, and if he is left alone, we usually leave him in the house with our other dog. The reasoning for that, you know, for the 6 to kind of 8 hours is because he really does need to go to the toilet. But other than that, he is very happy and well to be left alone with Kayno in the house for, you know, 4 or 5 hours, which is what we have tried several times. They don't do anything to the house. Everything is basically kept as it is. And to do with us having to introduce him at a nearby park with new people, that is completely true. He is very territorial, and it's actually something that I am getting sorted. Hopefully we're getting a trainer in about 2 weeks time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if many of you guys know, but he never got professional training, so to say, at the beginning of his life. We actually went to one puppy training class and it was absolutely terrible, and I gave up and I decided to train him myself. And something that I obviously missed out was the protectiveness, the territorial type training, which something that I completely do regret. Because it now plays a really large part in our life. It's, you know, a bit of a hassle having to introduce new people to the house at a nearby park. Although the other night he was really good. We had a new person that came over and she was already in the house. She was, you know, hanging out with people, and Shadow and I came back home a little bit later, and he had never met this person before, and he was very well with them. It's a little bit on and off, but yes, I've sought professional help when it comes to his territorialness, and hopefully it changes. I'm very curious if the parents of Shadow were tested for hips, elbow, and what the results were if they were. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before. So Shadow was purchased off a very rural farm here in New Zealand. I mean, the area had barely any reception. There was, you know, they had no Wi-Fi. They were super rural people. Let's just say that they were a little bit sketchy, so I don't think they were legit breeders of any sort. At the time, back then, I didn't care about papers. I didn't care about the history of him. I was willing to take him at whatever condition that he was in. The puppies were quite old when we purchased them. There probably was a problem there. Does that make sense? So without getting into too much detail, the way I see it is that we basically rescue them for a very, very affordable price. So they weren't at the normal German Shepherd prices that you would buy a puppy currently. I feel like we rescued him from that place. There were basically no papers, there was, you know, none of that. So at this point, I don't actually mind, I don't actually care, and I don't regret buying him because someone else would have had him or someone else would have to deal with him, and I feel like I'm able to provide him with a pretty decent life as it is. And yeah, I mean, he gets a hip scan every single year. He's on the best diet ever for him, in my opinion, and his exercise and his lifestyle is, I think, really suited for his hip dysplasia. I'm getting a German Shepherd soon. Any tips on how I can prevent hip dysplasia? I feel like there's a lot of hip dysplasia questions in this video. Like I said before, a car ramp is definitely the one thing that I truly recommend, and I'm so supportive of. After getting that, it changed so much, and what really triggered it was I noticed he was very hesitant jumping into the car. You know, this was at a year and a half, and it's so annoying. Yep, so number one is a car ramp. Number two is exercise. So they definitely still need exercise even with hip dysplasia. You can't actually prevent it. I think and I may be wrong about this, I think a lot of hip dysplasia conditions are when they are born with it. So yeah, I actually have no real knowledge on how to prevent hip dysplasia. I think the most important thing is to reduce the amount of jumping that they do, but other than that, just a really healthy diet. I don't know, I think this is a really long topic, and I feel like maybe a lot of my other videos have covered this one already. Is it true German Shepherds smell a lot? Okay, so dogs smell, like it's just reality, you know? Dogs produce an odor, they have this dog smell. But with any dog, of course, if you wash them if you clean them, if you look after them well enough, then they're obviously not gonna smell like they're still gonna have that odor of a dog, but they're not gonna stink. I mean, it's just kind of common sense. Amazing dogs, are they very protective? I'm assuming this is about Kayno and Shadow. So they're both protective to some degree. Kayno is less so. He definitely is way more calmer. He's a very just easygoing, the most well-trained dog I've ever met, whereas Shadow, he definitely lives up to his breed. So as many of you may know, German Shepherds are obviously, that, you know, they are trained to be very protective. They're in the police force, you know. They're obviously protective by nature, and there's a reason that they were chosen to be police dogs. Yeah, Shadow is protective. He is now territorial, and as explained before, we're trying to sort that out. But yeah, Shadow would protect me with his life, like definitely. I definitely see that in him. Very last question. If I want to feed chicken thighs, how many, and do I feed her the bones? So no, I wouldn't recommend feeding any chicken bones to a dog. Yes, we used to do that, and they obviously have never died, but I wouldn't recommend it, and I no longer do that. Chicken thighs, I also wouldn't recommend just feeding chicken thighs as like their only food nutrient. That's kind of odd. You should probably mix up a lot of other meat and vegetables. And dogs can eat raw chicken as well, so that's just another little tip. Shadow's probably not going to be able to take this any longer. He's being very impatient. He wants to go for a walk, so I'm going to have to end the video here. If I haven't answered anything correctly or the perfect way, which I'm sure I haven't, I'm not an expert in this topic at all, then feel free to comment below maybe like the right answer, I guess, if you happen to be a German Shepherd expert or a dog expert. I always love reading comments, and I always love learning new things, and you know, I truly am every single day trying to improve, trying to be a better dog mum. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.